Hello and welcome to Work University. I'm Annalisa Felix. It's my mission to bring you nuggets of information about work education, or podcasts where I interview people about their jobs. Consider these mini job shadow type discussions. So if you can call it work, I want to know about it. Now let's dive in. Today I had the privilege of interviewing entertainment attorney Kim, who works with a major television production company here in Los Angeles. We talked about what she does on a daily basis and what some misconceptions might be about being an entertainment attorney, and it was really interesting to find out how she got to where she is and lessons learned along the way. I did have some volume issues, my bad, lesson learned, so crank it up because there's some good information here. All right, let's dive in.
Hello, this is Annalisa Felix with Work University with Annalisa Felix, and today I'm so excited. I get to talk to my friend here, Kim. She is an entertainment attorney at a major television production company in Los Angeles. Very excited, and we've been trying to work this out for some time. So thank you for talking with me today. So what I'd like to learn about is, what do you do daily as an entertainment attorney?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you, Annalisa, for being so patient. My schedule is bizarre, so thank you so much for hanging in there. And
yes.
That gives an indication to your listeners that this line of work is not that steady 9 to 5. It's great, but it has ups and downs, has long hours, short hours, so it's a mishmash of everything. But as far as what I do, I am an entertainment attorney. And what does that mean? Mm-hmm. People think that is just, this fabulous, oh my gosh, everything is wonderful. You hang with celebs.
Mm-hmm.
Not really. It has its ups and downs and its perks. Mm-hmm. My actual title is Director of Business and Legal Affairs.
Okay.
And since I work in television production, what that means is the show that we produce, it is my job to oversee it and to make sure that when that show hits the air where people are watching it, there's nothing in that program that we can be sued over. Mm-hmm. So that's really stressful day in and day out. It's a lot of responsibility. And what a lot of people don't realize, when you're watching television, when you're watching a movie, when you're listening to music, there's so many moving parts behind the scenes of all of that as far as what an attorney does.
Right.
Because you never think when you're watching a television show that there is an attorney who is attached to that, who has to vet everything within that program before it can go to air or be broadcast. So a little bit of what that entails is reading scripts to make sure that everything we say is accurate. Mm-hmm. There's no defamation. We're not saying anything wrong about anyone, or if we're reporting some information about someone, we have to balance it and get both sides to it. And then as far as the visual, we have to make sure that whatever we show you visually, either we own it or we have permission from the copyright owner to use it. Or there is another carve-out in the law that's called fair use, which I won't get into, but that's a third way that you could use elements that you don't own, but the law gives you the right to use someone else's copywritten work.
Right, so you have to pay for that.
Well, if it's a fair use, you don't, but if it's someone else's work, and you can either get permission or you can license it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So there are some times when we do have to spend money to pay to license something to put into our show, but generally we try to work within the parameters of the law and use things we own or things that we can legally fair use without having to pay for them.
So how many, go ahead.
I was just going to say, there's a lot of moving parts that are the attorney's job when it comes to either film or television or music. There are a lot of things that have to be done behind the scenes just to make sure that show or that work of art is clean, meaning no one can come back and sue you for using it.
Okay, so when you talk about being responsible for what goes on the air, so we're talking about television because you mentioned movies as well, but I'm assuming that you just deal with television. Now, are we talking scripted? Are we talking reality? Are we talking news? What are we talking, or do you deal with many at one time?
What I deal with is entertainment news television.
Okay.
So that means current events, things that are going on currently. We report on entertainment stories. So anything from the Kardashians all the way up to if there's an entertainment-related element to the political campaigns that are going on. Everything in between, that's what we report on. And that's why it's so important as the role of the attorney to make sure that what we report is accurate. You don't want your show, your name attached to something where we're giving out inaccurate information. You also don't want to report that someone did something without giving them an opportunity to explain why they may have done it. You want to balance everything that you do.
Wow. Okay. So for one, do you deal with multiple shows or just one at a time?
Personally, I deal with 2 shows on a regular basis, and then sometimes we produce what are called ancillary shows. That would be shows for a different network or shows for a different production. Sometimes we've done shows for different countries where they want to report, they want to do an entertainment news program on the current events going on in the United States, and we will produce a program for other countries. Yeah, especially in Asia. Japan and China are really interested in our entertainment and what goes on here. So we've produced programs for those markets too.
Wow, that's interesting. So when you talk about dealing with all of these moving parts, are you also dealing with budgets to buy these different, music pieces, or because you have to deal with, okay, if we have to pay for that, then, you have to deal with budgets, and do you hire people to do things for you? And does every show need different people to handle things for you?
Excellent question. Fortunately, I don't set the budgets, but I do have to make sure we stay within budget. And we have a clearance department, and always, no matter if it is film, television, music, whatever, there's always a clearance department. And these people are my right hand, and I couldn't live without them. And they are the ones that say, for example, if a paparazzi shoots video or photos of some big celebrity, they will come to our clearance department and offer up those elements, of course, for a price. Then we have to determine if the price that they are offering for is worth it. What kind of value are we going to get out of it? Are more people going to tune into our program to watch it? Is it an exclusive, or will every other news program have that same video or that photo? So that's when we figure out, okay, how much does it cost? Is it within our budget? Because we do have weekly budgets for those elements. And, of course, the more valuable the piece of video or the photo is, the more we're willing to spend. But then that might mean tomorrow in our budget, we can't spend, any money tomorrow because we've already spent 2 days' budget in 1 day on some exclusive piece of video or photo.
Okay, so if it's yesterday's news, you don't want to deal with it. You want to keep moving forward. Wow, that's really, exactly. Okay, so do you find yourself in court at all? Are you that type of lawyer as well?
Not now. I have way back in the past when I was in law school, and I'll tell you about that whole path. But as far as my job now, no. I would be considered like an in-house attorney, meaning that I handle the production, the just what goes on day to day with the production. Also, what I handle are contracts, whether it's contracts with our talent or any type of performance or production contracts with talents who come on our show. So I do have to work with other celebrities and their representatives. But if there is an issue where someone does file a claim against us, our show, or wants to file a lawsuit, then we hand that off to our litigation department, which is part of our larger corporation, and they would handle that. Now, I would have to go through the process of preparing for litigation, but I myself don't go to court and litigate these matters.
Okay, great. There are so many pieces that you had mentioned that I want to dive into, but I can't because they're different shows within themselves. That's very interesting. But I do want to shift gears here and talk about how did you get into, first of all, law and then going into television production and entertainment. So what is your path? How did that work?
Well, my path is really not a straight line, and I hope people who are interested in getting into the legal field or any field really pay attention to this part, because I didn't start out wanting to be a lawyer, period. My father really wanted me to be a lawyer, and he would talk about it. And unfortunately, I had someone very close to me pass away, and that's when I understood, okay, well then, nothing in life is guaranteed, and maybe I really should do something, to help people or to just do something better than what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I decided to go to law school. So I went to law school a little later in life. I didn't go right out of high school, college, law school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so you were doing another line of work.
I was doing total different line of work. I was selling real estate, and I was successful in the other things that I did.
Mm-hmm.
But when that tragedy happened, it really kind of jolted me into, okay, what do you really want to do? And like I said, my father had talked about me becoming a lawyer because he always felt like I had that argumentative trait in me.
Mm-hmm.
So when I dabbled, started putting out my feelers for it, I realized it is something that I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as getting into entertainment, when I was in law school, I really wanted to be a public defender. I wanted to work to help those who could not help themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I took a lot of criminal law classes. I did internships in the public defender's office and in the district attorney's office. I second chaired criminal cases. That was my main focus. But when I passed the bar and the day I was sworn in and I started inquiring, I found out that they had put a freeze on hiring public defenders in Los Angeles County because I'm in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
So I couldn't get a job there, and I had to figure out what am I going to do.
Mm-hmm.
I was walking across campus on the day that I was sworn in. My family and I, we were walking to the parking structure. The Dean of Career Services asked me, "Do you have a job yet?" At that point, I was interning at Screen Actors Guild in their contracts department, but since I wasn't a lawyer, it wasn't a legal job.
Right.
And I said, no, I need something now because I have student loans to pay back. And she said, well, one of our alumni just sent in a job request for a brand new attorney at an entertainment company. And, she's looking for someone that she can train. And she said, are you interested? And of course, I was interested.
Mm-hmm.
Long story short,
mm-hmm.
12 days later, I was hired.
Wow.
That was 17 years ago, and I've been there ever since.
Same company.
Same company. Now, what makes my path interesting is I didn't have any experience in entertainment law at all. That wasn't my focus in law school. All of mine was on criminal law.
Mm-hmm.
But for those listeners who are thinking about going to law school and getting into entertainment law, you don't need to have any kind of specialty in entertainment law to be an entertainment lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
People think, entertainment, I'd have to go down that path. Now, taking copyrights and trademarks in law school is a plus, but I didn't do it because it wasn't my focus.
Mm-hmm.
You can learn those things on the job, but an entertainment lawyer, you deal a lot with contracts. There's a lot of contracts work. So your focus should be on being very good in contracts and drafting and negotiating contracts. Also, the focus is on the First Amendment. So your federal law comes in handy as far as defamation, rights of privacy, rights of publicity. All of that is number one when it comes to entertainment law. Those are the types of skills that you really have to have. Drafting, knowing, how to draft good documents. That's another plus. And what I found out after I got into entertainment law, criminal law really is a plus because I don't know if you recall, like in probably the early to mid-2000s, there were a lot of celebrities getting into criminal trouble, having troubles with the law. So my criminal law experience really helped, even though I was entertainment, because I could, parse the different types of stories that we had and figure things out and come up with different angles only because I had a criminal law background. So if someone really wants to get into entertainment law, I would say just have a very well-rounded entertainment focus while you're in law school.
Wow. So when you're in law school, do they teach you things like First Amendment, contracts, federal law?
Yes, those are classes in law school. Yeah, you have to do contracts, you do your First Amendment and all of that.
Okay.
You do your constitutional law class, you get a criminal law class, you get contracts, you get real property. And that's another one. Real property is a good one to know if you're in entertainment law, because if you're going to maybe venture out and have your own boutique entertainment law firm, your clients, your celebrity clients will come to you for everything. And they might say, okay, I'm buying this piece of property. You have to represent me in the deal.
Have you ever done that?
If you're going to be an entertainment lawyer, you really need to be well-rounded because your clients might ask you to represent them in any aspect of their life.
Wow. And you had a real estate background too.
Yes.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. Okay, so let's shift here again. So as you went from real estate to law school, and from that point, were there any maybe lessons learned, or if you're looking back and you're thinking, wow, if I kind of knew then what I know now, maybe I would have done that differently. Do you have anything like that to share?
Well, yes. Because, like I told you, I didn't do the traditional path. I went to law school a little later in life. By the time I started law school, my daughter, I had a daughter by this time. My daughter was, let's see, which year was she? She was in her second year of high school.
Oh.
So, and I was a single mom at the time.
Mhm.
So people always ask me, well, how did you do it? You know, you're a teenager, and we know how teenagers can be. And I'm in law school full time because you really should do it full time. People do part-time work, you know, they work part-time and they do law school part-time, but I wanted to do it full time. So what I would say to people is when you think that you cannot do it, when you have excuses why, well, you know, I have a family or I have a job or I need to make money or I this or that, let me just tell you, if that goal means enough to you, if it is very important to you, you'll figure out a way to get it done.
You make it happen.
To make it happen, exactly. There should be no excuses to reaching your goals. For me, I just focused. I focused, and you know, I just did what I had to do. It was almost like I was living every day, one day at a time. I didn't think too much about, you know, how long it was going to take me and all of that. I just did everything I needed to do one day at a time. And when I was done and I looked back at the journey, I said to myself, wow, how did I do that? It was not easy.
Wow.
Not easy at all. And most people do the traditional path, high school, college, law school, so they don't have those kinds of responsibilities of children and households and all of that, so it's easier. But for any of your listeners who have any type of things that they're dealing with and they want to go to law school or they want to get a master's degree or do some sort of higher education, just do it. Just because life is going to happen anyway, so you might as well be working towards your goal while life is happening. So when, you know, you get to the end of law school, you've done it. Because if you keep saying, I can't do it now, I got to do this, I can't do it now, you look up and 10 years will go by and you still haven't done it.
Wow, that is an amazing story. Because, yeah, I do talk to people and, you know, even myself, sometimes I think, oh, I don't have this kind of education or I don't have the time to do that or whatever. And you're a definite example of someone who just focused on it and didn't worry about the how and just kind of worried about the end result, which was getting your degree and then moving on from there. Because after that, you didn't even know you were getting into entertainment, which is amazing to me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So just have faith in yourself that you can do it and just do it. And then once it's done, you know, you have your whole career ahead of you to dabble in whatever it is you want to do.
Now, what advice would you give to those law students or those people just coming out of law school to getting into a certain line of business or how to use their degree?
Well, I would say use your first year of law school to really kind of figure out what area of law you want to practice. And you know, whether it's entertainment or whatever, just kind of figure things out. Don't go in saying, oh, I'm only going to do this, because you never know what might feel good to you. But once you figure out what it is you want to do, get an internship. Start right after your first year of law school, which actually means you have to start making contact during your first year of law school. And get an internship. Get your foot in the door somewhere. Pick people's brains. I'll tell you what's interesting. I got an email just yesterday from a young man who graduated. I went to Loyola Law School in Los Angeles. And he didn't graduate. He just finished his first year. And he looked me up in their database and sent me an email asking me if he could buy me a cup of coffee and pick my brain. that young man is going somewhere because he's already thinking about who can I contact, what can I do, what can I learn. So my advice would be to get an internship or a paid job if you can, but in entertainment law is most likely going to be an internship, and learn as much as you can, ask as many questions on your internships. Don't turn down any tasks. No matter what the attorney asks you to do. If you've never done it before, there is a thing now called Google. You can find out almost anything that you need to find out.
Yes.
So, just be proactive and learn and be a sponge. But don't, since law school is so stressful, don't say, I'm going to take the summer off, and just relax. No. Get out there and get an internship or get a paying job and learn as much as you can before you graduate, because you'll be that much further ahead of the students that don't.
Okay. Great information. This is perfect because it falls in line with, at any level of job or schooling, you want to be networking. You want to be talking to people, asking questions. Who can I learn from? Even, following people on the internet, and possibly job shadowing people. And that is so huge in making sure that you don't get into something you don't want to do. And maybe I do find something interesting that I didn't know about before. And that is such a great story. And, I do want to thank you so much, Kim, for sharing your information, sharing your knowledge and expertise, and just, letting me ask you questions about your position. It is such it's so great to talk to you finally and get to learn about this. I could ask you questions for hours about this. It is an interesting position because entertainment in itself is so interesting in itself. But I just want to thank you so much for, giving me your time to do this.
Oh, you're quite welcome, and I just want to acknowledge you for the great work you're doing and this platform that you have for others to learn. It's so necessary, and I applaud you for putting that out there.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right. Well, with that, I am going to wrap it up, and for all of you listeners, please network with people and, find out what it is you like and know what you don't know. That's the main thing. Just find out things. Be learning constantly. So again, Kim, thank you so much. And to our listeners, till next time.
Hey, if there's a career field or job you'd like me to look into for you, or if you know someone who would like to be interviewed, shoot me an email at workuniversity4u@gmail.com. That's workuniversity, the number 4 and the letter U, @gmail.com.